Hello everybody, back again. Today we are in Green Lane, Pennsylvania, and standing right about where two former ice houses once stood along the Perkiomen. And if you look through the trees right about there, it's hard to see on video, and you look where those trees are standing, that was once the siding that went to the ice house. Like I said, there was two ice houses here. One burnt down, one was rebuilt, I think in the mid-20s, I forget. But anyway, that's another story for another time. Actually, I'll probably be doing quite a few videos around the Green Lane, former site of the Green Lane station, and Green Lane in general, because Green Lane was really rich in not just railroad history, but there was a couple quarries, a couple ice houses. There was a lot of stuff at one time here in Green Lane. But like I said, if you look right where that building is now, that's about where the Green Lane station was. We're in the back side of where Green Lane station would have been. And there was a few sidings, actually. A couple runaround sidings, a couple regular sidings. Like I said, the one for the ice house used to come right across and went right back there. The only thing left that I know of from the ice house, and I'll get a video of it later on, is a couple walls from the shaft or the conveyor belt set that would take the ice in and out of the ice house. But like I said, that's another story for another time. So I'm going to show you guys the water tower base that's here. I'm currently on the part of the Green Lane Trail, or Perkiomen Trail in Green Lane. So the railroad reached Green Lane in 1872, and Green Lane is basically the halfway point of the Perkiomen Railroad. And at one time, it was the end of the railroad. Oh, there's a cat. Look at that. Look how easily distracted I am by a cat. Hey, kitty. Okay, I like cats. Anyway, so the railroad reached Green Lane in 1872, and for a year or so, a couple years, it was basically the end of the line. I mean, the line reached Pennsburg, Red Hill, 1873-ish, but wasn't quite in service yet. So here is the base of the water tower in Green Lane. The Perkiomen actually had 4 water towers, or water tanks, they call them different things, of note. Now, there may have been a couple temporary ones put up along the way while it was being built, but for the most part, there was 4 water towers built. One in Arcola, which was actually called Water Tower at one time. Before it was called Arcola. I think it was called Deer Run at one point too. Arcola, out near Oaks, Green Lane, Veracruz, and Powder Valley, out near Hosensack in Powder Valley. There's only 2 of the water tower bases left. The one in Powder Valley, which is brick, which most people have probably seen on videos or have seen around. That's still there, and then this one here in Green Lane, which was once behind the Green Lane station. Now, since the railroad reached here in 1872, and this was the end of the line for a little bit, we would assume that this water tower was already here by the time the railroad reached it, so they could refill water before they get back, because it's about 16, 17 miles so you get to Arcola, maybe a little less than that. So we could assume that this tower was here in 1872 when the station and the railroad reached Green Lane. Like I said, it didn't take long to build these, so I would assume, since they knew the line was on its way up and it was already graded before it got here, could assume, again, like I said in another video, Perkiomen Railroad is a pretty well documented line, but there's still a lot of little areas to color in, to fill in, to know what I'm talking about with certain things, which we may never figure out. But this water tower was probably built 1871, early 72, because it wouldn't take too long to build it. But either way, it was here in 1872 when the line reached here. Also, when the line reached here, so they could turn the engines around, There was actually, I talked about in my other video, somewhere in this area, I think maybe up front a little more, maybe I'll get that in this video, is where the turntable was. So, being said this was an early one and this is stone, I could just assume, because I have nothing to prove me right or wrong, that this here is the original water tower. In the early days of the railroads, most of them were wood, stone, some were steel, but for the most part, from the mid 1800s up, early 1830s, 40s, when railroads just kind of started getting going, most water towers were wood, and probably farther out east you find more of the stone was more plentiful out here east. So I couldn't imagine there being another one before this one. And like I said, by the time they got down to Veracruz and Powder Valley, outside of near Hosensack Station, those were brick. I don't know, I'd never seen a picture of the one in Arcola. I've heard that one was wood, but I'm not sure. But either way, this is the one of the 4 water towers that were along the Perk. Little door you could go in there. I wonder if you can still get in here. I'd like to try to explore this a little bit more sometime. But yet, there used to be a nice wood tank sat up there. So this is one of, like I said, one of 4, and 2 of the 4 still exist. At least the base still exists. I think in Veracruz, some of the bricks are still laying there, apparently, from what I was told. I've been there a couple times. I actually know the guy who lives there, who lives near it. He may even be watching this video. And if you are, you could comment on there, because I'm pretty sure when I was up your way, I saw bricks. I think you told me they were from the water tower. So what's unique about it is there's several ways they would get water to water towers. Anyone that knows steam engines know that water is a steam engine's best friend, and without it, you either go nowhere or you go somewhere really quick, and that's not a good thing. So the interesting thing, and if I can find a way to put the photo in this video, because I'm not real good at editing, actually I'm not good at all at editing. If I can find a way to put the photo in this video, I'll put it in here. If not, I'll make it the thumbnail. So look at the thumbnail for this video, and you'll see the water tower. And right about there, you'll see a wooden building, which was a tool shed. And behind it, you'll see another stone building. And if you look down there, see if I can zoom in a little. That is part of the base for a pump house. They actually pumped water from the Perkiomen Creek. Or wait. Yeah, that's the Perkiomen. Down here, the creek merges in with another one. Again, there's sometimes, as much as I know, sometimes I kind of forget a couple details. But, it's free entertainment, right? So anyway, so that was the base of the pump house. There was a steam-powered pump inside the pump house that would pump water from there up to the water tower. And like I said, I'm going to make it the thumbnail picture if I can't add it somewhere else, but you will see a picture. You'll see in the back behind there, you'll see a stone building, and that is the base and the foundation, or at least part of it, of the pump house that pumped water up in there. So like I said earlier, the Green Lane Station site and Green Lane in general is full of ruins and history, and there's so much to cover. So I'm going to probably have several videos in this area in the future. Here's the one bridge. Yeah, this is the Perkiomen Creek. The reason I was confused is because the Perkiomen Creek, another creek that runs through here, and it merges. Brain fart. Anyway, this is the Perkiomen Creek. So this bridge here that goes over it, the Perkiomen Creek, this was actually a covered railroad trestle at one time. It was actually covered, like a covered bridge. And down a little ways, just about where you see where the trail turns to the right, if you went straight, there'd be another trestle you'd go across. That trestle was also a covered trestle at one time. So again, it's pretty rich in history up here. I could save this for another video, but I'm going to check this out. A lot of these old parts of these guardrails are very, very old. I don't see it on this. Oh, there it is. If you look, you can see it says P&R RR. Any of these stanchions you see along the trail, everyone I've seen has P&R RR, which stood for Philadelphia and Reading Railroad. Because, except for a 12-year span in the late 1800s, the Perkiomen Railroad had controlling interest by the Philadelphia and Reading. And if not for the Philadelphia and Reading, the Perkiomen would have probably never got off the ground. But, like I've said in other videos, the Perkiomen Railroad was pretty much its own railroad until 1945. But anyway, if you see these bridge stanchions along here, they will have P&R RR, which I would date to probably the 1800s, because back in the 1800s, they loved to put RR after everything. It didn't matter. You could have 20 different letters in your abbreviation for your railroad, but you still had to put RR after it. So here's something else. If you look to the right, that's where the base and the area where the pump house was. If you kind of look here, you can see a cement slab, which is right in line. Not sure what that slab's from, but we're thinking that might have been more part of the pickup tube. Maybe the pickup tube or something for the pump house might have been. That might have been something for the tube was, or an input or something for it. But like I said, you can see the cement slab down there. So I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, back to these stanchions. Like I said, back in the day, you'll notice on a lot, especially back in like the old Western railroads, you'll see, even I think New York Central at one time had newer NYCRR. But I would date these probably back to late 1800s. And like I said, if you look at them, you can see. And to find anything, even though these are fairly plentiful, to find anything around anywhere with Philadelphia and Reading stamped in it is pretty amazing. And even though a friend of mine will argue that there were two different railroads, Philadelphia and Reading is the same thing. It's the Reading Railroad. It just became, it's a long story, another topic for another time. But the Philadelphia and Reading basically became the Reading, same thing. So anyway, I'm going to end this soon, but I'm walking down to the front here now. This is now Perkiomen Trail. The main line would have been just about here. This is where the main came through. There's the water tower. Again, the Green Lane Station sat over here. Yeah, there's a couple quarries, ice houses, many ideas around Green Lane for videos. So I'm going to cover them in a future video. First, we're going to walk up here. We're basically walking right next to where the main would have been. The main would have been right about where that white line is. That's 29 out there. And if you look just about where that red truck is, that's right about where the Green Lane Station sat. So, okay, well, thank you for checking it out, and I'll talk to you next time.